Okay, so yeah, I was talking, starting to talk about Patrick. So as I said, he was able to hold a cup really early and drink out of a cup all by himself, 6 months. He also knew his letters around 18 months.
Okay.
And he was also smart, and I think, trying to remember if it seemed like he didn't get in. He got into one honors, but not the other the first year. And they kind of changed the rules where like, oh, we can't substitute this other test. They have to only take this test unless you go to a special psychologist and have it sanctioned. I'm like, forget it.
Yeah.
And then I think a year later he got in, and I'm like, it's not worth fighting for something like that. It wasn't. I knew he'd be fine no matter what because he was a smart boy. And the other thing that I always think about Patrick is he's always had a really good memory. He always remembers people's names. And I remember one time I picked him up at school at Mercury Mine, and we were heading to our car. We're walking through the grass, and he knew everybody. And he would say hello to everybody. And he's like, "Hi, Lainey. Hi, Joey." And everyone was like, "Hi, Patrick." And he was just so friendly and so sweet that everybody loved him. He's just a lovable guy. He was also very nice to kids that were kind of left out. You know, he was always nice to everybody. And I know there were a few moms that recognized that, and they would invite him over all the time. A couple of boys who maybe were having trouble making friends, and Patrick was nice to them, so he used to get a lot of play date offers because he was just a kind, sweet kid, and they thought he was wonderful, and he was always nice to their little boys. So Patrick, he's always had that quality that I've admired, because he's just a he's
sweet,
just a sweet,
welcoming, open person.
yes, and he always makes everybody feel welcome. Doesn't want anybody to feel left out. He just has that natural thing. My sisters and Paula, Maureen's friend, they all say what a polite. He has like a natural politeness about him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I try to teach all you kids manners, but Patrick, for some reason, it just comes naturally to him. And Paula said he has a very genteel quality. He'll hold the door. I mean, you don't have to remind him. Just tell him these things once, and he just always holds the door for people, and just super polite and kind. And so yeah, he was an angry baby, but he got it all out of his system at a young age, and now he's this wonderful, good, kind man.
And
And
the car seat idea, there's something to it.
yeah,
Performed
it's
it
like,
somehow.
just get it all out now. Let me know when you're done.
Yeah.
And he was done.
Yeah.
And he was always a smart kid too. I used to worry about you boys a little bit more than Caitlin, because again, she was such a driver. She was always doing everything, and such a hard worker, whereas you boys were a little more lackadaisical. And I said this to a friend once I said, it seems like with boys you kind of have to nudge them a little more, and they're like, oh, tell me about it. So I don't know if that was it or not, but you all turned out fine, and Patrick got,
He was big on the video games, I know.
Yes.
Most of us, so I can see how that would be a concern.
Yeah, exactly. But, and then one time I remember my sister Maureen came over. I had valley fever, and I was, kind of sick, and she came over, and she was saying something about, there was some stuff on Patrick's bed when he went to bed. I can't remember if it was like his backpack, and there was some posters and all this stuff at the foot of his bed. And she said, Patrick, let's clear your bed off so you can get to bed. He's like, oh, that's okay, Emma. I don't need to do that. She's like, I can't believe how lazy your kids are. He doesn't care if there's crap on his bed. He'll just sleep underneath him. Like, that's my kid. But she wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
And he's fine.
There's bigger concerns than sleeping with a poster on your bed.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you all turned out really well.
Yeah.
And I love you all very much. And you've brought me so much joy in my life, and I just feel so lucky that I got to be your mom.
Yeah.
Because I just, like probably the most happy times of my life were with you kids. And it's just been a joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, as far as Pat goes, I'm trying to remember, did he do any kind of special extracurricular stuff, or was he just more a video game dude?
He did a little bit, yeah. He did gymnastics when he
that's
was
right.
young,
Yeah.
and he did that for a few years. And then he did t-ball a little bit. I can't remember if he did soccer. He might have tried it like one time and it wasn't his thing,
Mm-hmm.
so he got out of that. And all you kids did band in high school and actually in grade school and middle school too.
That's right, because Caitlin did clarinet, but then Pat did trumpet like me, so I handed down my old trumpet to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he was in middle school, he was in this class called Gen Yes.
Yeah.
And they kind of did some extra things with that. But he enjoyed a lot of clubs. But again, the band thing was big. And the early childhood was you try to expose your kids to certain things. And if they like it, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. So
Mm-hmm.
he did pretty well with the gymnastics. And then he just moved on and again, tried the t-ball. And I don't think he did basketball. You did basketball a little
I
bit.
did it for like a year, yeah.
Yeah, and then, that's right, because you met Maddie Bush.
Yeah, Maddie
Or
Bush.
realized later that you were
Yeah,
the
it
same.
wasn't until years later we
team.
realized we're on the same team. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
So, yeah. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to remember if it was, because there was a little boy, maybe Patrick, it was either Patrick was in soccer or you were in soccer. And there was a mom that had a little boy, same thing, Patrick was real nice, the little boy, so she started inviting him over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll have to ask Patrick if he did soccer or not,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was that. And I know that you did Cub Scouts for a short time.
Short time, yeah. I remember going on one camping trip with Dad. There's this kid, Fernando.
Yes, Perez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then when Patrick came along, some of our neighbor friends that had kids his age were in the dad version of Trailmate. It was called Adventure Guides or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And so I asked Patrick if he wanted to do that with Dad, and he said he just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
So we didn't push it. Again, third kid. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
whatever.
Whatever you want, yeah.
Yeah. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I mean, he had plenty of friends and he was fine, so
Mm-hmm.
we didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, as far as friend groups go, like you said, the way you put it, I ran with the fast crowd, or however you said it.
Yeah, you did. You kind of ran with the fast crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, because I kind of think it was kind of like how you described your transition from middle school to high school. I had something similar,
Yes.
except I didn't go anywhere. But I think my big thing was I met the Stetters that summer.
Yes.
So I was trying to kind of get out of my nerd phase and be more of a cool guy.
Yes. I recognized that in you immediately when that happened. I'm like, I know exactly why this is happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like you want to fit it. You reach a point where you're like, I just don't want to be made fun of. I just want to fit in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be thought of as the nerd. So you try to do things that are
Mm-hmm.
kind of opposite, or things that don't contribute to that.
Yeah, stuff that impresses 13-year-olds.
Right,
Might not
that's
be,
exactly-
might not be the smartest,
Exactly.
but yeah.
Yes. So when that started happening, I thought, well, I think he needs this, for his socialization, for whatever. And I used to feel kind of guilty that I let you spend so much time with them,
Hmm.
because I thought, oh, maybe he's spending too much time with them. But I knew you were having fun, and it was kind of a break for me.
Sure,
Because you were
yeah.
kind of high maintenance at the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, oh boy, maybe I should not, maybe I should have to stay home more, but then he'll be resentful and maybe it's not that big a deal, but he turned out fine.
It worked out.
But I could tell you, I thought, that's something that some kids need to just feel, not like an outcast, to feel like they belong more. And I
Yeah.
definitely saw that, got that connection
Mhm.
with you.
Yeah, I don't know why I kind of, because I think I had an especially nerdy couple of years in middle school.
Yes.
I don't know if Caitlin and Patrick had the same thing, but I feel like for whatever reason I just kind of got lumped in, because there's kind of a transition when you get out of elementary school. There starts to become like a pecking order,
Yeah.
and I kind of missed the boat on that, or I ended up
Yeah.
in the low order, and
Right.
So I just remember middle school I was hanging out with these super nerd kids. I won't name names, but it was just we're going to a few birthday parties with these kids, and it was just the chess club kids or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is kind of not where I thought I would end up.
Yes, and I think you did that for a really long time, on into high school and even college, and I remember thinking you had kind of gotten away from your true self a little bit because you are just a smart person, and it wasn't appreciated when you were with your peer group, but I'm like, that's a very valuable thing, and hopefully he'll follow his own path, and I think you have.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, you kind of get a mix. And you see it with Lauren too, right? Lauren kind of had a similar, arc like me where she'll tell you, she always had low self-esteem and thought she was a nerd, but then she kind of got in with, the pot smokers in middle or high school, not middle school, but high school, and you do some mildly rebellious stuff, and I'm sure her mom was worried about her or whatever, but she turned out fine. But it's just kind of the arc some people take.
Right.
But now Caitlin had a different arc for whatever reason.
Yes.
She had a more, I don't know, she was like in the church group for a while. And
yeah, one thing that I think helped her a lot in middle school, which is usually horrible for girls, she was in band. And band was held during the 7th graders' lunch period. So she had to eat during 8th grade lunch period. And there were I think there were like 6 kids that were 7th graders in band. So they would all eat lunch together. It was her and like Eric Andrus and Rebecca Rice and Nina. So there were like 5 or 6 of them, and so they bonded because they were the only 7th graders that had an 8th grade lunch, and they became really good friends. And Rebecca, she was a kind of a go-getter kind of girl too, and between the 2 of them, they're like, oh, let's try out for this and let's do that, and she had a really good experience with middle school. And then when she got into high school, she did band almost all 4, like 3.5 years band, and she had a lot of friends from that too. So it worked out really well for her because of that, I think. Plus, just the way it goes sometimes. And then with Patrick, I'm trying to remember, it was similar. I mean, he has Jen Yes friends, and he always had a lot of friends in various.
Well, he had John Marinak, which was
yes.
Something I didn't have. I mean, I had the Stetters, but like just as far as like having a guy right next door.
Yes, that's right. He had Miles for a little while.
Yeah.
And the Cullens a little bit, but as you get older, Mikey was 2 years younger, and Jenna was a girl, so it wasn't quite the same as having a buddy your age.
It's just kind of weird in hindsight. I never really clicked with Jeremy Mudd or Caitlin Mitchell. They were so close, same age, but we just never really.
Yeah, I remember once I called over there and invited Jeremy to come over and play, and he said, no thank you.
Not interested,
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird, but, but I don't know, I just didn't get the right vibe or something. I'm like, well, I'm not going to push it.
It just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, it was fine, but maybe he was just really shy or something. Who knows? But
Pat had Marinak, and then I know
and also Will and Daniel. Yeah, he had a lot of friends. So I think his transition to high school was pretty easy because he already had a lot of friends in the neighborhood, and he was in band too, and it worked out. I'm trying to think if he hung out with his band buddies very much. Now that I think about it, it was more of like Vincent, and he just seemed to. Well, no, Vince was in band. That's right. He knew him from grade school and that, but I think it worked. I don't remember him having a real difficult time in high school.
Yeah.
He wasn't like in the big cliques, but he didn't care. So, and he turned out fine.
Yeah.
You all did.
That's right.
Yeah, you're all very special people.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just real proud of all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
All done very cool things, and each one a different, unique thing. Pat's done his path. Caitlin obviously going off to Spain by herself, and
yes,
me with my thing.
Yeah.
Neither one of us kind of followed in the other's footsteps. We all kind of just did our own deal, but we all turned out pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
One thing that I think was pretty common with your generation of kids that I used to worry about is overscheduled kids. You had a lot of friends that were in so many activities that they never had any downtime.
Yeah.
So I always used to, try to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think you did a good job on
But,
that. Because I remember, yeah, I liked having marching band, especially because for me, when I was younger, the first couple years of marching band, that was my opportunity to like make friends with older kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes you feel cool when like you're a freshman hanging out with juniors
Yeah.
or seniors, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, I just like the amount of time that you had for band. I mean, it was kind of involved, you had to get to school early, but at least that was like my only thing. And we have like the nighttime practice once a week or whatever it was. And,
Yeah.
but at least it was just that and not, that on top of sports, on top of
Yeah.
Academic, whatever, at least in my case.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good mix, good balance of
Mm-hmm.
downtime and activities.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
So,
cool. All right, well, take a break for now.
okay.